Imagine the heartbeat of a defense, a captain whose face is literally on the stadium, suddenly deciding it is time to say goodbye. This is not just a standard transaction for the Indianapolis Colts. It is a seismic shift that nobody saw coming this morning. After nearly a decade of dominance in the slot, a franchise cornerstone is officially heading for the exit door as the front office looks toward a younger, cheaper future. The shockwaves are hitting the locker room hard right now. But why would both sides walk away from this legacy? Let us dive into the truth. Kenny Moore and the Indianapolis Colts have mutually agreed to seek a trade, signaling the end of an era for the most prolific slot cornerback in the history of the franchise. This massive development, which broke early Friday morning, confirms that the veteran defensive back is looking for a new home as he enters the final year of his contract. Adam Schefter reported that the decision was reached amicably, with both parties feeling that the timing is right to explore new opportunities elsewhere. Moore is set to enter the 2026 season at 31 years old, carrying a significant cap hit of over $13 million. While he has been the emotional leader of this secondary for years, the business side of the NFL is finally catching up to this relationship. My sources inside the building suggest this was not a sudden fallout, but rather a calculated move by Chris Ballard to manage the ballooning costs of the cornerback room. Moore has been a staple in Indianapolis since 2017, but his recent injury history, including a nagging Achilles issue that cost him 3 games last season, has clearly played a factor in this decision-making process. The team is currently facing a massive financial crunch in the secondary, with heavy investments already committed to other stars like Charvarius Ward and the impending massive extension for Sauce Gardner. By moving Moore now, the Colts gain flexibility and potentially a draft asset before he hits free agency. However, the move is not purely about dollars and cents. There is a tactical layer to this that most fans are completely overlooking right now. Reports indicate that a significant scheme fit issue has emerged under the current defensive staff, making Moore less effective than he was during his Pro Bowl peak in 2021. This transition opens the door for a young player the staff is incredibly high on, but he is coming off a devastating injury himself. As the trade market heats up for a veteran of Moore's caliber, many are wondering which contenders will be calling Chris Ballard's office by the end of the day. The impact of losing a 4-time team captain cannot be overstated, especially for a defense that has leaned on his veteran presence in the most critical moments. But the real question is, who is actually ready to step into those shoes and fill the void left by a legend? The answer lies in a high-stakes gamble the front office took just 1 year ago. Is moving on from a team captain like Moore the right move for the defense? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below because this changes the entire identity of our secondary. If you want the fastest updates on where Kenny ends up, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button right now to support the channel. Adam Schefter sent shockwaves through the league when he posted that both sides had agreed to move on, but the context behind the scenes is even more fascinating. While the public sees a star player leaving, the internal reality is that the Colts are bracing for a massive financial pivot in 2027. My sources indicate that the front office is prioritizing long-term stability over veteran loyalty, which is a tough pill to swallow for the fan base. Kenny Moore himself sent a text message stating it is all love and there is no beef, but the scheme fit issue mentioned by Stephen Holder is the real key here. The Colts are looking to get more aggressive and perhaps bigger in the slot, and at 31, Moore might not have the twitch left to execute what this specific defense now requires. Furthermore, the presence of Justin Wally looms large over this entire trade saga. Wally was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2025 draft specifically to be the heir apparent to Moore. Before he tore his ACL in training camp, the reviews out of Grand Park were absolutely glowing. Coaches were seeing a player who possessed the same height, weight, and instincts as Moore, but with a younger, more explosive physical profile. The organization believes Wally is ready to step up, even though he is coming off a major reconstructive surgery. This trade request is essentially the Colts clearing the runway for Wally to take over the primary slot duties without a veteran roadblock in his way. For Moore, this is about finding a contender that still values his elite processing and tackling ability in a system that protects his aging speed. Teams like the Lions or the Eagles could be perfect landing spots for a veteran with his championship pedigree. The trade value for Moore will likely be a mid-round pick, but his real value is his leadership, which is something the Colts are now risking. Chris Ballard has always been a general manager who believes in his own draft picks, and this move is the ultimate test of that philosophy. If Wally does not return to his pre-injury form, this defense could be in serious trouble come September. The secondary is already thin, and losing a player who has 4 career touchdowns and multiple Pro Bowl considerations is a massive gamble. We are watching a high-stakes chess match where the pieces are moving faster than the fans can keep up with. But what does this mean for the locker room chemistry? The technical impact of this decision on the Indianapolis Colts' defensive structure is profound because it removes the literal glue that held the nickel packages together for the better part of a decade. When you look at the decisions made by General Manager Chris Ballard and the coaching staff, you see a clear shift toward a younger, more salary cap-friendly secondary that can sustain itself as they prepare for the mega contracts of the future. By moving on from Kenny Moore-Tekken now, the Colts are essentially betting that the developmental curve of Justin Wally and other young corners is ahead of schedule. However, the risk factor here is astronomical because the slot cornerback position in a modern NFL defense is arguably the most difficult role to master. It requires a rare blend of blitzing capability, elite run support, and the agility to cover the league's quickest receivers in open space. Moore was the gold standard for this, being the highest-paid slot corner in history for a reason. Replacing that production with a player coming off an ACL tear is a maneuver that could define Chris Ballard's tenure one way or the other. From a roster management perspective, saving $13 million in cap space gives the Colts the ammunition to potentially look at other veteran reinforcements or even facilitate another trade before the deadline. We have to look at the future of the franchise as a whole. The front office is clearly looking at the 2027 season, where the bills come due for Charvarius Ward and Sauce Gardner. They are sacrificing a beloved veteran today to ensure they don't have to cut multiple starters tomorrow. This is the cold, hard reality of the salary cap era. The locker room impact is another story entirely. Moore has been the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee 3 times and a captain for 4 straight years. Losing that voice leaves a vacuum that must be filled by players like Grover Stewart or Mo Alley-Cox. In the short term, expect the Colts to be very active on the phones. They won't just give Moore away for nothing. They will seek a partner that can offer a pick high enough to justify the loss of a starter. If a trade doesn't materialize quickly, we could see a standoff, but given the mutual nature of this agreement, a resolution is expected before the preseason concludes. The defensive scheme will likely evolve to be more versatile, perhaps relying more on safety rotations if Wally isn't 100% by week 1. Ultimately, the departure of Kenny Moore II signifies much more than just a trade. It represents the formal end of the initial core that Chris Ballard built when he first took the reins of this franchise. Moore was an undrafted find, a diamond in the rough who became the literal face of the Colts' community efforts and defensive toughness. Seeing him in any other jersey will be a jarring experience for the fans who have watched him notch 4 defensive touchdowns and lead this team through some of its most turbulent years. The meaning here is clear. The Indianapolis Colts are no longer satisfied with the status quo and are willing to cut ties with legendary figures to chase a higher ceiling with younger talent. It is a ruthless approach, but one that is often necessary to reach the Super Bowl level that has eluded this team for far too long. We are witnessing a transition of power within the secondary, where the torch is being passed from a veteran icon to a third-round rookie in Justin Wally. Whether this gamble pays off or backfires spectacularly will be the main storyline of the upcoming season. If the defense regresses without Moore's elite tackling and coverage in the slot, the pressure on the front office will become unbearable. But if Wally emerges as the star the coaches believe he is, Ballard will once again look like a genius for selling high on a veteran. This is exactly why we love the NFL. The drama never stops, even in the off-season. I want to know from you truly. Do you believe this team can actually replace a leader of Kenny's caliber with a rookie coming off a major injury? Is this a smart business move or a disrespectful end for a franchise legend? Your voice matters in this conversation, so please drop a comment with your take on the trade. This is a massive moment for our team, and we need to stick together as we see how this roster evolves. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Colts front office moves and want more insider analysis you won't find anywhere else, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest breaking news and behind-the-scenes reports on everything happening at West 56th Street. Don't forget to like the video if you want more Colts content every single day. The era of the lightning-fast slot corner might be ending in Indy, But the hunt for a championship continues. This is the business of football, and it never sleeps.